Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. What leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or morals, or of both? In Tempe or the dales of Arcady, what men or gods are these? What maidens loth? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on. Not to the sensual ear, but more endeared, pipe to the spirit deities of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, though winning near the goal yet, do not grieve. She cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. Forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu. And happy melodious, unwearied, forever piping songs forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue.
Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadest thou that heifer, lowing at the skies, in all her silken flanks with garlands dressed? What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk, this pious morn? And, little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate. Can ear return? O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou, silent form, dost tease us out of thought, as doth eternity. Cold pastoral, when old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou say'st, beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know.
All right, as far as the explication goes on Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats, I started off with the structure. I found that it's free verse and there are 10 lines per stanza, and there's 5 stanzas total. There's one shift between the third and the fourth stanza, which changes the mood from happy and joyful to dark and gloomy. As far as diction goes, I found that there's frequent rhetorical questions, which leave much mystery and unknown riddled throughout the poem. A couple examples of these are, who are these coming to the sacrifice? What mad pursuit and what struggle to escape? In the third stanza, the diction is full of happy words like happy, warm, and love. And this portrays a mood that goes along with exactly what the words mean in terms of love and happiness. And that is the first stanza, as I said, in the shift. That's like a super happy stanza, and then the next stanza goes to pretty dark and gloomy. As far as allusion goes, Keats made one historical allusion to sylvan historian, which is basically Sylvan history is the history of like forests, woods, and it's just another sneaky way that Keats brought nature into his poems by using the definition of the history of forests and woods. As far as point of view goes, it's a third person narrative. Keats doesn't use I. He's telling a story and he's asking questions. Symbolism and irony. In terms of irony, the Ode on a Grecian Urn as a whole is verbal irony, as Keats begins the poem by portraying himself as some immortal god, asking about how people are mortals. But as he speaks about being an immortal god, the rest of the poem is about the inevitability of death. So it definitely portrays irony against what he is and what he's saying. And then as far as tone goes, it's a very passionate poem. There's a lot of rhetorical questions, making it seem like he really cares about the subject and what he's talking about. And next you're going to hear from Nick Eyre.
All right, I'm going to jump into some of what Deal went over before I go on to the other explications, but I'm just going to start off with diction, just straight off the bat. Grecian urn, that is like a vessel. So an urn is a vessel that is like, it holds something. So like olive oil, or, nowadays they use them for like bodies sometimes, but a Grecian urn is usually one that is like really beautiful. They really made them very beautiful back then, and they were meant to hold more of like water or oil. And so that is also some historical allusion. And then in the first stanza, we see mythological allusion with, or even religious allusion from the word deities. And like, what men or gods are these? That's 2 sentences below that. It just shows how it could be religious or mythological allusion. Then I'd like to bump down into symbolism and irony. And we found that the images on the urn actually held a lot of meaning. So I found that there was one part where it's 2 people, bold lover, it says, never, never canst thou kiss, thou winning near the goal yet, do not grieve, she cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. Forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. And this also falls into a little bit of irony, because these 2 people, they can't kiss, and that's what they're looking for. I mean, they're leaning in, that's what they want to do. But in that moment, it's that perfectness of union and love between them, and the girl will never fade. She will never be less beautiful, and the love they have will never be any less powerful. They will forever be in this immortal state of love. And on that same kind of role of immortality, I found that the urn, this is symbolic, but the urn is immortal physically. I mean, obviously it could be broken, but it's going to outlive humans for the most part. But the beauties and the mysteries will live forever as well. And I think that Keats was kind of dealing with this himself. So at the time he wrote this, it was 2 years before his death. And I did some research, and I guess he had like a really grueling battle with tuberculosis. So he was like, he's battling right now. Wow, I am not immortal, but the stuff that I leave behind are. So the poems and the mystery and everything that goes along with it is going to be forever. Jumping back into diction, I see the words cold pastoral, which I had no clue what it meant, but I had to look it up, and it means like desolate with no change or hardly any life. And in this sense, they're describing the people that I was just talking about, and the images on the urn. And it's a metaphor really for the people in the painting are without life. And in that sense, because they aren't changing and they don't get to experience, let's go back to that kiss. Those two people don't ever get to experience the kiss that they were going in for. Yes, they are in this state of love and beauty, but what is the point, really? He's saying, he's kind of at this point accepting, because it's right here, nearing the end of the poem. He's kind of saying, wow, I am here only for this short time, but because of this short time, it gives me power and really a meaning in life, where these people, the painting is without life just because there is no end. Let's hit these points quick. Sound and meter. So immediately we see the first whole word of the poem is ode. And so an ode is like usually a narrative poem, or like a sung poem in some cases, and it usually has an irregular meter. So boom, that's meter. Sound. So there, as Deal says, there's a lot of rhetorical questions, and then there's a lot of exclamation marks. So as Deal was saying, in this third stanza, it's a little bit faster than all the others just because of the exclamation marks. And the first stanza is a little bit slower because it has all of these question marks, and that brings more reflection, the slower parts, whereas the exclamation marks, they bring out happiness. All right, as stated a little bit before, the biggest rhetorical figure in this whole poem has to be the urn itself. I mean, the urn, in many cases, is meant to hold dead bodies, and it just shows how Keats is living this life where he has to go at some point, but the stuff he leaves behind, the poems that we're still analyzing to this day, are so beautiful, such as the urn itself, that it can live forever. And in that case, he isn't as scared to go because he knows, and he's battling that the whole poem, but by the end he grasps it, that he will be all right because of his legacy. All right, some syntax for you guys. I got, in the second stanza, the first sentence, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter, therefore blah 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 blah. I just thought heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter is such a weird thing to think about. You think, oh, well, how would... It's almost like, I want to say oxymoron. I don't know. But it's really weird to think about, and it's kind of just the beauty of silence, the beauty of, maybe in this case, for Keats, death. It's a very weird thing to think about. It's very beautiful. And then I have another piece of syntax, and it's the whole fourth stanza. It's about this mysterious sacrifice going on with a cow that they're going to sacrifice, and this priest. And you're thinking to yourself, previously described on the urn is two people kissing or almost kissing, a tree that isn't going to die ever, a kid playing an instrument, and then you get this weird scene that is kind of out of nowhere. And I think that was really deep of him because it shows the mysterious aspect of everything and the mysterious aspect of leaving with no, like, the person that made the urn can't say what this is. And that's the same for Keats and his poems, because I can't go out and ask him to help me analyze it. I have to do it myself now. Imagery, I've got a couple usages. I think that Keats really uses imagery to bring home bring to life the people on the urn, and really have it so we can have strong connections between his life and the people on the urn. And so an example of that would be in the second stanza, fair youth beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever those trees be bare, showing how the trees won't ever get old, and the kid won't ever get old, and he'll be happy playing his instrument. And that really draws, or it gives them meaning, and it gives them life when you can draw an image to them. And so it makes for him to have stronger similes and metaphors throughout the whole poem. I'll just give you two more examples of imagery. To what green altar, O mysterious priest, and with forest branches and the trodden. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, so I'm going to try and wrap this all up with ambiguity and figurative language. Throughout the poem, we don't see really one simile, but it's riddled with metaphors. Every single line is really, like, you could break it down. And it all comes down to this extended metaphor of the personification of the urn. So the urn is this beautiful thing, or it's beautiful on the outside with pictures of this ideal life that Keats really would want to live, where you can continue writing, and just like the two lovers be in this state of bliss, or the kid playing the song, just being in his zone for the rest of his life. But he realizes as it goes on that this is not something that he would actually enjoy. And it's kind of like the deeper meaning of the urn, because the urn on the outside is so beautiful, but on the inside, what is it? It's ashes, right? It's the dead body. So once he digged a little bit deeper and started questioning this personified urn, he came back to himself